Hello my friends, so today on Gardening with Creekside we are going to give you a bit of an overall project update. We have got a lot of different things happening here at the house, and so I just kind of wanted to give you a little bit of an overview because a lot of fun things. It's a lot of exciting stuff. It is a fall, of course, here in North Carolina. Perfect time to be landscaping, to be adding plants, to be buying plants. I'm going to share with you some beautiful things that just came here. So I got my delivery from Mr. Maple. So I have 6 1-gallon Japanese maples I want to share with you. We are installing the lights, all the landscape lighting here at the new Terrace garden. We're going to give you an overview of that. We are getting the steps finalized in going up to the terrace garden, give you an update on that. And then I'm gonna take you up to the chicken coop, and we got the pine tree that fell during Helene. That tree has been removed, so I kind of want to take you up there, let you kind of see what I'm dealing with. I literally have not touched it. Since the tree came out, we have not touched it, so I just can kind of give you an overview of what is happening up there. So we're just gonna do a fun little project update here at the house. It is a glorious day here in October. Finally feels like October is my favorite weather. I'm wearing shorts and a sweatshirt. It is great. And so it's a lot of fun. Mr. Maple. If you're familiar with Mr. Maple, he is a fellow North Carolinian nursery, specializing obviously in maple trees. Mr. FedEx literally just came. So my friends, if you order plants online, I don't care who you're ordering plants from online, obviously we have Mr. Maple. All of these 6 1-gallon Japanese maples came in the box. There's Mr. Maple's logo. And you want to unpackage them immediately. As soon as you can get to that package, unbox them, get them out, give them a drink of water, and let them acclimate. It is best to let it go ahead and let them sit in the shade. I'm going to share with you the ones that I got, and the great thing about when you're shopping on Mr. Maple's website, you can search by zone. So even though I'm a zone 8A, I went ahead and shot for zone 9. That way I know that I have plenty of heat tolerance for these sweet babies, and they will do just great. I think most of these are like zones of 5 to 9. So that's just a little tip. If you're concerned about your zone, go up or down a zone, so that way you've got plenty of a buffer. Now, I do not remember not one single thing about these plants, so we will try to put a little bit of information up there for you. If nothing else and we get the name, go to Mr. Maple. Do a little shopping. Support these companies that have been affected by Helene, and not only that, you're going to get gorgeous, gorgeous plants. So these are all 1 gallon. Here we have it Celebration, and clearly with Celebration you're going to get a lot of great color, right? I've already got pinks and greens in there. Looks like, right, nice columnar habit on this sweet thing. So there you go. We have got Celebration. Next, we have got clearly a weeping, trailing tree. And this one is, I love this, Fountain of Youth. So there you go. Now, when you get your plants, y'all, if you're doing mail order plants, like I look at this, okay, 1 limb snapped here in transport. What I'm gonna do is I'll get my Felcos and I will just snip it right there. Y'all, it is not the end of the world. That little limb that got broken, it is okay. You've got a great healthy root system here. You've got this beautiful tree. It will be just fine. Also, are these completely leafed out? No, they're not. You know why? It's because it is October in North Carolina and they are starting to go ahead and go a little bit dormant. Now this one is fun, and I'm not even gonna try to read that. So this is a rare dwarf red Japanese maple, Jaime Shoujo. There you go. Sounds good. Again, it's got to be, you can tell from its habit, it's going to be upright, beautiful red. That's why we love Japanese maples, because you're going to get tons of color throughout the season, right? You get a spring display, a fall display. It is going to be a summer display. You name it, beautiful color on that one. Fascination. Now, Fascination is fascinating me because you can see we've got all this growth, right? Nice green leaves on it. But then we have this one limb that is quite rogue right here. So I am not a Japanese maple aficionado, like I'm not an expert. So I'm gonna do a little bit of research. Maybe I'll even send them a quick little message and be like, hey, should I prune this back or should I just leave it alone? Because I don't know the answer to that. If you, hey, my peoples out there in YouTube land, if you know what I should do with that, so that's a fascination. And let me know, leave it alone or do I trim it back some? We'll figure it out. My brain says to trim it back so it'll bush out, but my brain could be wrong. Next, we have, I love this foliage, y'all. Look how fine this is. Such a very, very fine filigree foliage on it. I'm pretty sure this is the one that they said would be really good for, like, if you wanted to do a bonsai. This is, yeah, filigree green lace. So there you go. I got you on that one. Look at that. Oh, love it. Love, love, love. And then last but not least, geisha gone wild. I mean, you know, talking about a little living on the wild side here, my friends. Look at that, right? So we've got, yes, is the foliage burnt a little bit? Sure is. Am I worried about it? Not a bit. So we're going to get these planted. Nice upright habit on that as well. You can tell has really, like, if you look at the leaves, yes, they're a little crispy. It's fine, people. Don't worry about it. Very, very different texture, right, than the green filigree next door. They all kind of have, yes, they have similar shapes, but they also are very different as well. So what I will do with these babies is, because does Jenny know where they're going to go? Nope, no, I do not. I think I do want to put one, make sure I find one that can handle the full hot sun. Put it maybe in the extension of or somewhere in the cottage garden. So put that there, but I got to make sure that one is nice and rated for the hot sun. And if there's not one that's rated for the hot sun, guess what? Jenny can go shopping again and get one. So I will put them, I will go ahead and move them up to a different container. These are 1 gallons. I can move them up to easily a 3 gallon and then let that root system grow, and while I try to figure out where I want to put them. So that is the deal with Mr. Maple. Check out their website. Y'all, they have tons of maples, all sorts of great things. Very quick shipping, and they are, like I said, a North Carolinian company that is in the mountains of North Carolina. So please continue to support those sweet folks in Western North Carolina. All right, now here we go. Let's turn to the terrace garden. All right, so what Jerry is doing is running wire and connecting all of the landscape lighting. So I'm going to show you that. And then the fellas are working on the steps. So bad news is that we are short on the coping. So the coping is the blocks that are like the rounded edges. So I'll show you that. So they've already gotten 2 steps done. So you've got, right, so this nice rounded edge right here. So that way you're not tripping, yada, yada, yada. And then back here in the back of the step, what we're going to use are the blocks, right? The caps. So those are over here on a pallet. So they're getting all the coping on first, and then we will go and use the caps to be the flat part. The coping, I think, is getting glued down. So once they have it all in place, they're gluing it down. With the caps, what you use is your the locking sand. So this is that polymer sand is what we used on the patio in the back. So once you lay the stones down and get them all level and everything where you want to, then you come back through and you brush this polymer sand between all the little crevices and you wet it down, and it, I'd say, doesn't turn to cement, but it locks it in, like it hardens and holds everything. So you don't have to worry about any of those stones moving around. Now, so that's what they're doing. We are short on some of the coping, but Brock from Site 1, I think, is locating it for us and bringing it out. Because while we've got the guys that are here to help us, then we're going to take advantage of that. And so there you go. So I think Brock is on his way to find that and bring it to us. So yay, Brock from Site 1. All of our supplies we get from Site 1. All of the stone is a Bellegarde product. So if you're curious about that, all of the stone comes from Bellegarde. The lighting is from Site 1 as well. Brock is like our sales rep that comes and helps us. So he came through, we talked about lighting, and he helped us with the lighting. So we have 3 different styles of lighting here that we're gonna do. All of the retaining walls already have the lighting on them. And you may be like, well, I don't even see any lighting. Well, that's the point during the day, is that you don't see it. So for each of, there are, the walls. So you've got a 1, 2, 3 wall, and then it steps down again. So you've got one here, and then you've got, of course, there on the end. So these are the little under lightings. And I'm just going to show it to you what it looks like here, and then we'll go up and look at one that's in the box. So you see that little black cap right there? That is the lighting. So all the lighting is, they are LED lights. So what you do is you place them all here, and I'll show you what that one looks like. You place it all down. They have wires that are already attached to it, and then you have to run, of course, the electrical line to it. That's what Jerry's doing. So you can see it's not a snake. It is that black electrical line. We will run it right up against the wall. And the sun's not being super cooperative, but you can see here maybe where he's already attached it, right? So you can see you've got the wire nuts right there. That means there is a light right here. So we will keep this wire snugged up against the wall. That way when we are in here landscaping and doing all that kind of stuff, we will always remember that the landscape wire is right up against the wall. And because the last thing you want to do is to send a shovel or a power planter auger right through it. I will have to keep in mind, because speaking of wire, we have to connect it all, because all of this, of course, will be on a timer. So you can see that this all connects in together. So we start here, and then it's going on up towards the steps, and then he will also connect it here to go into the walls. So let's head over here, and I will show you the 3 different types of fixtures that we have. So by the steps, going up and down the steps, we have the pathway lighting. So this is the pathway lighting. You can see that it has that nice stake in the end. So you shove that down into the ground. You have the wire, so that's where he will connect to the main black line. And then up there, we've already assembled this one. You have that LED light bulb in there. You have your little housing, your little cap. And so these will go along the steps. Now this color is black, because I know somebody's gonna ask what color this is. It is considered black. So we have 8 of these guys that will, basically you have 4 that will, on each side, that will go up. So we can decide how we want to do it. I'm thinking, since we have 8, we'll alternate back and forth, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 steps, so we can alternate back and forth. Excuse me, 1 on each side of a step, and then go on up. So we have got 8 of the pathway lights. Back here on the back wall, there are 4 of the caps, like the underlighting. I don't know technically what you call this, sorry. You have 4 of these guys that are spaced out through there. And you know me, so basically when we're standing here and we're looking, right, we will have it, there's 1 evenly here, 1 evenly here, 1 down there in the corner over there, and then 1 down in that corner over there. So that will light up that whole back wall there. Let's see what those look like. They're already pre-assembled. So you literally just take them out of the box and go ahead and then lay them down. So you use, of course, all this masonry glue to put your caps down, and the fellas yesterday got all of these installed. So they're nice and glued in now, so we don't have to tiptoe when we're walking on top of the wall. But this is what it looks like, right? So you've got your LED lights underneath it. Then you have just this flat piece. So let's just pretend this is like the step. So we come here and you just smush it up against this way. Your wire has to shoot out the back, so make sure it's nice and flat, and then there you go. So you glue this down, then you put the cap on top and you glue that, so it's nice and secure in there. So that's where we have all of those guys going down through here. Then we have 2, they call these the, oh shoot, like the spotlights, I think they're called. Yeah. So here we go. Get all my technical terms right. All right. So this guy is, we've got 2 of these. I think we've got 2 of these. Like the up lighting. So what you do is your light bulb's already in, right? Then you can use this little knob and it will adjust your angle. I don't remember where all of these are going to go, but we've got 2 of these. So whether we want to do up lighting on the fig tree, if you want to do like up lighting on any of the other trees, that kind of thing. Because I'm pretty sure what we said is we then have like the spotlights. Oh, sorry, this is the floodlight. This is the spotlight. So there's 2 spotlights and there's 4 floodlights. Now, the floodlights, we have 4 of those. Those we're gonna go in front of and like in between the hydrangeas. So that's where those guys are gonna go. And you'll notice that it has the frosted glass on it. So we'll have to see what it looks like when it's lit up with the frosted glass. But if you don't want the frosted glass, then they give you a clear piece. So we can easily go ahead and switch that out. The spotlight has the clear piece. So I'm thinking that we will go ahead and switch that out so that it all kind of looks the same, but we'll wait and see.
Did you talk about this one?
I did talk about that yet. Yes, you can have it. Sorry. I had to use his light as a demonstration. All right, so we will have 2 spotlights, 4 floodlights between the hydrangeas, the 8 pathway lights, and I don't remember the total number of the wall lights, but on the walls, so on each of what, like the middle wall, because that's kind of what we call it, because you have the bottom, the middle, and then the top. On each side of these 2 middle walls, there are 2 lights. So if we can get down here, and I don't know if you can see it, but there's 1 here and then there's 1 there. They're evenly spaced. So, and on the other side of the wall, the house side of the wall, there's also another light just on the other side. So we'll have lights on both sides of those walls. So this wall technically has 4 lights, as does the other wall has 4 lights. And then of course the steps. Each step has a light underneath it. So we will have lights all across the bottom, up the steps, both sides of these walls, along this back wall, the 2 spotlights somewhere in here, the 4 floodlights, and then the 8 pathway lights up that way. So that's a lot of lights, y'all. I mean, if we're gonna go ahead and spend all this time, energy, and money doing this, by golly, I wanna see it even at nighttime. So that's what we're gonna do. The fun thing about, of course, with landscape lighting, if you have any, is that you can set it on timers. So you can set it to come on at dusk. So as soon, that's what our house is. So as there's light sensors, so as soon as the light goes down, they automatically turn on. And then from that point, you can do from dawn to dusk, dusk to dawn, or you could say from dusk, it runs for 4 hours, or it runs for 5 hours, or it runs for 6 hours. So you can adjust how much you want the landscape lighting to be on. We don't leave any of our landscape lighting on all night long, because it's just silly to have it on while I'm asleep. I don't need it for security reasons. We live out in the middle of nowhere. So we just like it for the aesthetics when either when we're outside at night on the patio or when we're coming home, that kind of stuff. So we just leave ours on till like, I don't know, 11:30, somewhere around in there, and then it turns off. All right, what we're gonna do, let's head up to the chicken coop and see the fun damage that's been done up there. Before we head up there, or as we head up there, I want to show you what I did with around Goshiki. Remember, planted up this jumbo jardiniere that is a unique stone container. People are asking, where do you get that thing? Well, the nursery. We've got several of them. And so this is in the aged stone. This is a osmanthus, right? So this is Goshiki, and Goshiki is Japanese for 5 colors, because this will turn all sorts of fun colors. It is obviously a variegated osmanthus, and this is kind of be my evergreen structure that I will leave in this container for years to come. As long as she's happy, she's gonna stay here. What I did last Saturday is I went ahead and kind of planted it up a little bit. So we have got some really sweet little violas, right? I think this was like the blueberry mix or something like that. So it was a mix already done. And so I just went through, I mean, look at that. That looks like, I don't know, it's like a painting to me. And then these sweet little colors throughout here, and just, I can see it from a distance. It's a beautiful bright pop. We put creeping Jenny in here, and then I put some variegated ivy. So this will take me all throughout until the spring when I'm ready to put in like my summer annuals. Of course, the idea is that the creeping Jenny will spill over, as will the ivy. Now, if I want to, I can decide to leave the creeping Jenny and the ivy in here, you know, year round, and then just kind of switch out where my violas are and maybe put like a mini Vista petunia or a super bell or something like that. I can put whatever I want to in here. This will be on drip irrigation. I have the irrigation in here. It is not connected yet. So that is the deal with that. But cool weather plants that will absolutely love it. Just as an FYI, this is the only time of year that we ever carry ivy, because ivy can be quite invasive around here. And so we only sell it for these kind of component pieces in containers, because they're fun for containers. Please don't plant. Most ivy can be quite problemsome, and so we just so I love this one, this variegated one though. It is, I think it's just the sweetest little thing. All right, so coming on over to up to the chicken coop. A lot of times people ask, they're like, well, how with the terrace garden, how in the world are you supposed to get up to this space? Well, this is how we do it. We have a road that comes behind the green giants. So you can see Johnny right there, and this access road, so we can drive any kind of machinery up here. I mean, if I wanted to drive a car or a truck, I could. But yeah, so this is how we get up here. For those of you that don't remember, we had our neighbor's huge, massive pine tree was uprooted, and it fell completely this way. So the top of the pine tree was actually laying right here. And we had, well, the whole garden wasn't destroyed, but we had some areas of destruction for sure. My smoke bush, I'm not sure what's going on with the smoke bush. The tree was laying on top of it. We'll see, but yeah, it looks like maybe there's some new growth, but we'll see. Clearly the obvious, biggest catastrophe of this area was my cherry tree. So this is a Kwanzaa cherry tree, and she looks like she's been through a tornado. Completely snapped at the top here. So this one, she's a goner. We have already ordered a new one. It came in, I think, just yesterday, because we had to do an order for the nursery. So I was like, we'll just go ahead and grab it. So we will replace, this is that Kwanzaa cherry tree. We'll go ahead and replace it and put another Kwanzaa in there, because I loved it. From here, I can see from my kitchen window by the sink, I can see it in the spring when it's blooming, and it's beautiful. So she's a goner. We'll switch her out. So some of the other things that happen they're not that bad, right? Generally speaking. My perennials, so I've got some of the Greggii salvia throughout here. Like they got crushed, but it's okay. And this is, if it had to happen, this is the perfect time of the year to happen, because we're going into fall, winter dormancy, and it's not that big of a deal. So that got a little crushed, as did my hibiscus. So half of the hibiscus got snapped off. Again, y'all, we're gonna have a freeze here in a couple of weeks. All that foliage is going to die. My root system is perfectly fine. So while right now it's a little troublesome looking and looks a little weird, long term, not a problem whatsoever. What could be a problem, which makes me sad, but I've got to do some repair on this, is my Forever Goldie. So Forever Goldie was underneath the tree, and you can see where it kind of got pushed and split open. So I'm gonna see if I can come back and maybe like upright it and tie it together and kind of cinch it up. So that way, if I go ahead and cinch it up, then as it's growing, it retains that correct structure. And then say in the spring, I can untie it and she's put back together and everything is fine. So that's what I'm gonna try to do, because this Forever Goldie was doing really well and was a gorgeous specimen here. So we're gonna try to save that and resurrect her and put her back together. I have bunny problems here, and so many of you know that I have been battling rabbits. And so one natural way to battle the rabbits is to use the chicken wire cloaks. In this area, I had quite a few of them because I have my Rudbeckia and my Echinacea. And just in case you didn't know, a chicken wire cloak is not very sturdy against a massive pine tree when it falls on top of it. So I could try to wiggle these back out. Y'all, I haven't had the time or the mental energy to really think about this right now, if I'm just gonna be honest. So some of the cloaks have been destroyed, probably not quite half of them have been destroyed. And then I had gotten some of the extenders. So the extenders, the cloak sits on top of it, and so it gives you a wider berth and it makes it taller. So I only had like 4 or 5 of those, and at least more than half of them got destroyed. So gonna have to start fresh over with those if I need it, because the rabbit is still here. My Cascade butterfly bush, this was Violet Cascade. So she too took a big hit. The whole the entire canopy of the tree, because you know, pine trees have, well, most trees, right, have these huge canopies. So it was just, I mean, it literally took up this entire area. It was just huge. So the butterfly bush took a pretty big hit and lost a bunch of limbs. Again, this time of year, yes, it looks terrible. It's not the end of the world, because as you can see, hopefully if the camera shows it, so you can see right here where this had already gotten snapped, but look y'all, we've got new growth popping out. And butterfly bushes bloom on new growth, and see, even though like it's snapped, so we've got it right here. So this actually snapped. We'll leave it and see what she does. Butterfly bushes bloom on new growth. So in March, April, I would come through here and trim it anyway. So what I think I'm gonna do is just give her a light trim. So where areas have been completely just whacked, I will give it a little bit of a trim, like down here. These limbs had been, well, you know, some of them are already falling off. Just a little shape up. She's gonna look bad this winter, but come spring, when the heat hits, it'll flush back out and it will be fine. So everything's okay with that. Even like when my perennials are in the ground, even if the perennials got smushed, again, the root system is intact. So yes, it looks bad now and they look sad now. Poor Amsonia. Yeah, I mean, whew, she's rough. No foliage on that. So that's completely a mess. Root system, totally fine. Not gonna worry about that one at all. Now, this is one that is quite questionable. So this is my Bosque elm. And y'all, she was doing so good. I mean, like doing great. So with the elm, the pine tree really kind of hit it as it was going down. And so we have some areas where the bark was just absolutely like stripped. So I'm thinking that there was a limb here and it just got pulled. So we've got exposed bark right here, and then a lot of it, you know, we've got snapped limbs right here. So obviously this just needs to get cut off. So I'm not really sure, honestly, on how well this is going to recover. So as far as my concern is that if I'm gonna replace it, I wanna replace it this fall, winter, because it's better to replace a tree and plant a tree where we are in North Carolina, with the heat and the humidity. It's better to plant it in the fall as opposed to in the spring going into the heat of the summer. So I don't know. That one is still questionable. And if we do replace it, do we just get another elm, or do we do something different? I don't know. My brain hasn't gone here yet, so I can't really think about that one really well. As you can see, I had one of the Proven Winners trees. This was one that was in a container, and I moved it out of the container into a pot. Yeah, so it was under the tree, and so it's gone. She's a goner. So there you go on that. But my Rock Steady, so I had gotten the Rock Steady Vitex from up there at when we were doing the e-commerce, right? And so we had one, so I was able to snatch one. moved it up into this container, and y'all, she's doing great. I need to get her in the ground. Maybe, do I just take the bosque out and put the vitex in? That certainly is a possibility. She would do really well there. So I could easily do that, and it would make life really easy, kind of quote and simple that way. So we'll see about that. And then this way, as far as we go, just to give you an idea of where that tree came from, I mean, it was a massive pine tree. She was a big one. So here we are on the back side of the property, and essentially our property line runs right here. So this is our property, this is our neighbors, and this is the root ball of the tree. So if you can see that, right? So here's the root ball of the tree, and to give you an idea of how far it fell, there you go. So it went right through, I'm trying to remember which direction it went through. Yeah, it went this way, because you can see here on the oak tree, I don't know if you can see, like these limbs are ones that got smushed. So it went right through here, missed the brand new unique stone container perfectly, and landed just right through there. So it was, I mean, miraculous, right? And so if it had gone just, you know, 10 feet over, it would have gotten the chicken coop. And that we didn't have anything fall on the chicken coop, I mean, by itself was an absolute miracle. So it knocked over my cedar tree. I had this post, right, that had the birdhouse on it. The birdhouse is completely destroyed. Not a big deal, you know, it's fine. So we will come in here. So I've got to get my brain kind of focused back on thinking about this area. There's just been a lot going on. And so once the tree was up and gone, I was like, okay, everything else can breathe for a little bit. So we've breathed. We're trying to get the terrace garden buttoned up. And then I can kind of turn my attention to this area as well. That's the beautiful thing about the fall, right? As opposed to like the spring. So in the fall, we're going into colder weather, which for North Carolina, I know it's not really cold, right? So my Michigan people, my Maine people, my, you know, North Dakota, New York, all those people, our winters are nothing compared to yours, and I fully recognize that. But my point is, we're going into the cold, as opposed to like in the spring, I feel a pressure of we're going into the heat. And so I've got to get things in the ground before the heat hits. Here in the South, it doesn't matter. I can literally plant basically year round. Maybe we take a couple weeks off in February and that's it. So there's a lot less pressure because of the weather for me in North Carolina, that I can take my time and get things in the ground as long as I get them in before, honestly, if I can get them in by February, then I'm good. So that we have February, March, and April really before the heat hits. But ideally, we want to get them in October, November, December. So that gives them the best chance to get those roots really going before the heat of the summer hits. And so they do a lot better. So anyway, that is a bit of an update on how things are going here at Creekside, project updates, and yeah, so we're just gonna keep on keeping on, my friends. As always, y'all take care of yourself, take care of the people around you, love on everybody, give grace. If there is ever a time in our life where we need to give grace and understanding and just let things go, this would be the time where we need to do that. Show yourself some grace, give yourself some permission to not be perfect and not get everything done right. It is okay, and extend that grace to the people who are around you, whether it is your family, the person driving next to you in the car, or the person making a comment on social media. Show grace. And as my mama always said, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all, right? Those are Jenny's words of wisdom for the day. We love you. Y'all have an amazing day. If it's cool and you're enjoying the weather, go out there and just soak up some vitamin D in the cool sun. It is fabulous. We'll see you on the next video. Bye, friends.